This revision video is about energy transfers in food chains. So here's my example of a food chain. It starts with the sun, which gives energy to the producer, which is always a plant. It's called a producer because it makes its own food from the sun in photosynthesis. Photo means light. Synthesis means make. So it means it makes its own food from the sun. It produces its own food. So it's called a producer. The thing that eats the producer is called the primary consumer. It's called a consumer because it consumes something else. Primary because it's first. In this case it's a bird, is a secondary consumer. And then a dog, because I can't draw a cat, is the top carnivore in this. It eats the bird, which eats the bug, which eats the plant, which gets its energy from the sun. So ultimately everything comes back from the sun. That's just a bit of revision from Key Stage 3. So another posh word for each of these is a trophic level. So the producer are the first trophic level. The primary consumers are the secondary trophic level, and this here, the secondary consumer, is the third trophic level. So we've got 1, 2, 3. The sun is not a trophic level because it doesn't eat anything, and that's what this word means. So what we need to do is we need to be able to understand how some energy is transferred into less useful forms as you go down the food chain, and that is what limits the length of it. So for example, in this, between the second and the first trophic level, the bug will eat the plant and get some of the energy from the plant will go into the bug. But as this bug starts to move, it's going to produce heat, and this heat just goes off into the environment. So it's wasted. It's wasted energy, so I'll write that on. So most of the energy from the plant goes into the bug, but some is wasted as heat as the bug starts to move. The bird, which is the secondary consumer, eats the primary consumer, which is the bug. Most of the energy again from the bug will go into the bird, but some will be wasted as heat. Then finally the bird gets eaten by the thing that should be a cat, but the thing that I can't draw. Most of the energy gets transferred, but loads gets wasted as heat. So there's our food chain. A key word that you need to know is biomass. Biomass is the name for the weight of all the substances that form tissues. So if you take these values for biomass, the substances that form tissues, you can produce a pyramid of biomass. So I'll draw that. Here. So what we would do is we take the weight of the producer first, and I'd put that at the bottom. On a pyramid of biomass, the width of each bar in the pyramid is a measure of how much biomass there is at that level. So I'm going to put the producer first. So in this case it would be flowers. I'd put that at the bottom of the pyramid like this. Because there's loads of flowers, because I'm going to imagine that my bug is, him and his mates are feasting on a whole field of flowers. So that's the bottom, that is flowers. And I'm going to give that a weight of 120 grams per metre squared. In every metre squared of flowery field, there is 120 grams of flowers. So that's the first trophic level of my pyramid of biomass. So these are all keywords that you'll become familiar with by the end of your revision, definitely. So the flowers, the producers, are the first trophic level in my pyramid of biomass. So now I need the next trophic level in my pyramid is going to be my primary consumer, the thing that eats the producer. So that is my bug in this case. And in flowery field, there's only 60 grams per metre squared of bugs. So this is smaller because the weight of all the bugs added together is less than the weight of all the flowers added together. So that's why the width of this is less than the width of this. So this isn't to scale, it's just a rough drawing of my pyramid. Next, I'm going to put on the bird, and I'm going to say that that's 30 grams per metre squared because there's less birds than bugs. Because if you think about it, the amount of flowers compared to the amount of bugs, there's tons more flowers, and the amount of bugs compared to birds, there's always tons more bugs than birds. So finally, on my pyramid of biomass, this is first trophic level, this is second trophic level, this is third trophic level, and finally I'm going to put my dog on, and there's only one dog in flowery field, so I'm going to put that there on the top. Now if you look at this, you can see why the food chain here stops when we get to the dog, because if you look at the amount of energy that's in the dog, it's not enough to support another trophic level. That too much has been wasted, all this that's been wasted as you go up the pyramid leaves the dog with not enough energy in it to support a whole other level. So I hope that makes a bit more sense than it did at the start. We've just gone through the energy transfers in a food chain, which starts at the sun, goes to a producer, to a primary consumer, secondary consumer, and the dog. As one eats another, most of the energy goes over, but some is wasted as heat when this thing starts to move. Again, as the bird starts to move, loads of energy is wasted. And the wasted energy limits the length of the food chain. We've also learnt some posh words like biomass, which is the science word for the weight of all the substances that form tissues. Trophic level, which is, that's the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. And we've learnt how to make a pyramid of biomass, which is where you just put it in order, you put these in order of weight. So you do your food chain. It doesn't always have to be this shape, it might be different. But this represents my food chain. So hopefully that makes a bit more sense.